Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Love Her podcast.
Hello, everyone. Yes, welcome back to yet again another episode. We want to start off by apologizing for us being gone for so long. I think we took a month off.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
But it was a busy month. A lot
It was,
happened.
yeah, it was a very busy month, and we haven't had, since we started, we haven't taken that long off. So we wanted to hop on and share with you guys the trip to Peru. We talked about how we were going, and we never gave you the full debrief of everything that went down or our experiences and how the trip was. So that's what we want to talk about in this episode. Some life updates, kind of give you guys a little debrief. So let's get into it. Janessa, if you want to start off telling us about how your experience was with Peru, what happened with you, how you settled back, all of the things.
I think this was pretty much for everyone that was on the trip with us, but going into it because it was a wellness trip with a group of people, I kind of honestly had no idea what to expect. Like, I didn't know what we were doing day to day. I didn't know what the vibes were going to be. I just knew that we were going to a really sacred and special place.
Hmm.
So kind of like a little backbone of the trip is basically what we did was we landed in Cusco and then we traveled to the Sacred Valley. And pretty much from there, we were in a different location every day. We were doing hikes. We were eating local food, which was so amazing. We visited Machu Picchu. And so there was a lot of really cool sights, and the nature there was just incredible. Like the
Cool.
ability to truly connect and just get away from all of this was
Hmm.
so special. And I think one of my biggest takeaways, honestly, is that when you're, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but when you're in this country, it kind of feels like this is what the whole world is like.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you work corporate and most of your friends work corporate and it's the nine to
Hmm.
five life. And it's, if you live in a city, there's a hustle and bustle there. When I stepped out of that and went to Peru and saw the way that these locals lived and saw their connection to nature and just kind of a village mentality where everyone's helping each other out, it made me realize that that is actually what I want for my life.
Yeah, yeah. I remember being there and
Yeah.
feeling like I remember specifically being in those areas and thinking this is what we saw in history books, but it's not history anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Like we live in a place where we kind of think that America is like everything.
Hmm.
And when you go to a different country, you realize just how much more simple it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think sometimes the more that we have, the more problems we have. More money, more problems.
More money, more
Not that I'm
problems.
afraid of attracting money, but like truly, the more you're like into the material and
Yeah.
technology and the phone and all of that, like my service did not work at all in Peru. At all. I was on my phone probably 10 minutes the whole day, every
Yeah.
day. And
Hmm.
that was amazing. I
Hmm.
loved not being plugged in, and I love just in a car ride looking out the window or taking a nap or talking to people. Like for me, I think the biggest takeaway from the trip was definitely just the importance of simplicity.
Yeah, and it seems like you kind of had a similar experience as I am, just like the reminder of we don't have to be in this all the time. This
Mm-hmm.
hustle and bustle, like at any point, we could go back to living off the land and just living in a community that takes care of one another. So that's so beautiful that that's what you also got from it too. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What was like your key takeaway?
Oh gosh. So Peru was, like you said, going into it, I didn't really know what to expect. This was my first wellness trip ever. And when you think of wellness trips, I think you think of yoga and you think like a bunch of spas. I don't know. I guess like every trip is different. So I really didn't know if that was how it was going to be or if it was going to be a huge moment for me. And so I just kind of went into it, like I said, no expectations. I just want to go and just whatever happens, happens. And that's exactly what it was for me. From the second we got there to the moment we left, I was just reflecting on so many different aspects of my life. And especially because we went we took off the day that I turned 26, which was Earth Day. And so there were so many like spiritually driven things happening in my life just going into the trip. And if you've never been to Peru, I keep telling people this, that it is totally one of those places where it reminds you of the whole meaning. Have you seen that TikTok trend that's like, I almost forgot that this is the whole purpose?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I felt the entire time being there. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like this is why we're here. This is why we're doing this. And so I had so much coming back from the trip, so much to reflect on, and that was definitely a moment for me, especially going into my 26th year of life. And even being there, I just remember within the first few days there really feeling it all. I'm an Earth Day baby. I just like feel every bit of emotion, every bit of the land. I felt like it was every single aspect of my life coming together in one big reflection while being there. And I actually haven't spoken to really anybody else on the trip about like how deep their experience got, but for me, I really feel like it got super, super deep for me to the point where, okay, this is actually going to get pretty deep because I actually had a moment on the trip where I probably felt the lowest that I ever felt in my
Mm.
life because I felt everything. And that is not something I ever expected to experience. Going into this trip and also making the transition into another year of life made me reflect on everything. Like the last 26 years, it felt like I was reflecting on past relationships, past trauma, past experiences, my current life, my job, so many different things. And by day three, I really had a moment of what is this? Like, what is this life? What am I doing? Is this even where I'm supposed to be? Like, where am I supposed to be? What is my placement here? And just so much of it felt so heavy that I really kind of moved through the emotion through meditation. But once I came back, it came all up again. And I did really have to sit back and rethink so many things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So, because I think everyone that was there, I mean, everyone has their own experience, but it was a super deep time. I think with the stillness and just a moment of pause to say,
Hmm.
like, okay, what's going right? What's going wrong? Am I on
Yeah.
my highest path?
Yeah.
So, what were kind of some of those realizations that you might have had while on the trip and then coming back as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into it, like I said, it because it was my 26 year of life, and I feel like the feeling of, and I was just talking to a friend about this who has always been a bit older than me since I've known her. I met her when I was like 23, and I think at the time she was like 26. And, she would always say, like, even though we were only 4 years apart, she would always say, like, you have no idea how it feels after your 25th year. Like, get over the hump. She would always crack jokes, and she's British, so she'd be like, girl, you need to get over the hump. And I never knew what she meant by that until I finally got over the hump of 25 because obviously, they say at 25, that is where your brain fully develops. So that year alone is just, you just feel it. Like you're like, oh my gosh, like I never thought I could be this smart. But then when 26 comes around, it's like, oh my gosh, like I thought of all these things and now who am I? What am I doing? And so I feel like I had that moment while being there. And like you said, the highs and the lows and just so many things. So a main reflection of mine was, how can I change my life to get to a better place because I'm feeling so low while being here? What changes, what aspects of my current life need to make me feel like I am truly becoming the best version of me in this 26 year approaching 30? It was so, so heavy. Um, and so, yeah, then coming back, I really was still reflecting on that. I was like, what is it that I need to do in my current life so that I never feel that low again, so that I feel like I am walking in my purpose and I am where I'm meant to be and I'm following, my heart and the light and just so many different aspects of me. And so, I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it, that reflection. made me have a really tough conversation with Mackenzie, and we both agreed to call off our engagement. Oh my God. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh about that, but I just can't. It just happened so fast because like I said, I was feeling everything. It's more of an uncomfortable laugh, but yeah, I got to the point where I was just like, I think I need to be off on my own right now. I think I need to spend some time with myself and really decide if marriage is what I want right now, if I can even handle being in a space with somebody else, because there's so much of my life that I've reflected on, and I've realized this year that I've been moving so much based on the trauma that I've been through and the things that I've endured. And I just want to rewrite my script, and I don't know that I can do that in a space with somebody else. And I was so honest with her about that, and of course, we both cried and cried and cried and took it really hard. Um, that was about a month ago now, but yeah, yeah,
So, how do you, because obviously that's something that's like, it changes your whole life.
yeah.
How do you go about navigating your emotions during that time and kind of doing what's best for your journey?
I just let myself feel it. Some days are definitely easier than others. There's just so much of our life, like we were together for 3.5 years, so there's so much of our life that is shifting now. So much of my life specifically, the place that we live in together, like it's her home, she owns it. So I moved out, I moved in with my mom again. So there's just so much that is shifting, and the emotions come with all of those shifts on top of the fact that we were engaged and we called off an engagement. So I just let myself feel. I really do. I just, when if I feel like crying and I'm driving, I'll just pull over and I'll just let it out. If I'm feeling happy, I lean into that happiness and that excitement of that self-discovery and that peace and solitude that I'm seeking. Um, Journaling, of course. I've never journaled this much in my 26 years of life. And really leaning into obviously my support system and things like that. And, just sharing my story too, I feel like is a huge part of it because I feel like so many women get to a point, so many people in general get to a point where they realize, what am I doing? Especially in your 20s. I feel like this is the perfect time to kind of have that breakthrough of what in the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And so when you have that moment and you don't have a child relying on like it's just you. Anything that you do now, you are in control of. I felt like it got to the point where it was like, it's now or never. I'm 26. If I'm gonna go and be on my own and figure it out and go make mistakes, it has to be now. And that's just how I felt for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Was there a specific moment where you just knew that you wanted to be on your own, or is it something that you've kind of been thinking for a while, but Peru really solidified it?
So this is why we have the podcast, right? To share our experiences. And in sharing this, I of course want to be so respectful of other emotions and other people involved in our relationship and our lives. So this is just my experience and my story, but full transparency, like I had a moment back in January going into this year where I realized I had been moving in a space of, like I said, all of the trauma that I've endured, whether that was picking a partner, whether that was moving into a home and selling all of my things because it wasn't, you know, that was like comfortable for me. And then having a two income home and like just all of those things, I just feel like I was in fight or flight and I was just moving, moving, moving because I just didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to feel like I was in a space where I couldn't take care of myself, where I was fearful of being in a space by myself and having to get through life all by myself and deal with my own emotions and deal with so many things that I made all of the decisions that I had made for the last 3, 4, 5 years based on all of these fears that I had. So in January, I had a moment where I realized I lost my voice because I just was trying to keep the peace in so many different aspects with so many different people, not just Mackenzie, but just even with friendships and just like trying to be in a space where I didn't feel like I was going to lose people and, just like really moving in that trauma state and, that fear. And so when I sat with myself in January, I was like, hold on. Who am I? What am I doing? Because prior to even moving to Atlanta in high school, I just felt like I was this firecracker. I was not afraid of things, but I got humbled really quickly. And so when I got humbled, so many other things transpired, and I really changed. The person that I became going into my 20s really changed. And it hit me in January when I was like, oh no. Like, if I want to be this person that is so confident and ready to change the world and become somebody that is a guide for other women and be this person that I hope to be, I need to change some things. And I can't be in a space where I feel like I don't have a voice. And I feel like because I was this person when we got together, it is so hard for you to then make the shift into somebody else that's like gonna speak their mind all the time, that's
Yeah.
going to constantly be different. Like I made a shift. I made a huge shift immediately when I had that moment sitting by myself, I was like, oh no, like I'm I need to wherever she is, I need to find that girl that had a voice that was confident, that was a firecracker and maybe be more balanced. And now she's gonna come out. And so I feel like at that point, that's when I started to turn that into a bit more of aggression.
Hmm.
And I hate to say that, but yeah, I became angry and resentful, and we argued more because I was not. I wasn't just, I was a yes man for so long. It's just so many
Hmm.
people. I was just like, okay, like whatever you want, I'm not going to argue. But when I had that moment, I was like, hold on, who am I saying yes to if I don't want to? Like, what am I
Yeah.
doing? And so, because of that, I do feel like it caused us to be at a different point in our relationship where I was fighting back. Like, if something wanted to be done, if something needed to be done around here, I'm going to speak up. If something, I wanted, I'm going to speak up. And that was so not who I was for the last 3 years.
Hmm.
And so that shift made it a bit difficult. And so I had a tough conversation with Mackenzie where I was like, okay, like things are changing. We need to decide if this is still what we want. Let's reel it in. Let's reel in wedding planning. Let's just like take a step back and spend the next few months deciding if this is really what we want. Let's work on ourselves. I'll work on this anger that I've built up, and you can do what you need to work on or whatever. So it got hard. I feel like it got really hard for us to navigate the space together. And so then when Peru rolled around, I feel like I was just so unhappy in so many different aspects of life. And this relationship being such a huge part of my life
Hmm.
was something that I really, really had to reflect on then too. And so yeah, when I came back, I was like, okay, like if this is something that I'm no longer feeling like is serving me right now with who I am and what I'm becoming and this person that I want to be, I have to be so honest with myself and choose myself and follow my heart. And yeah.
Yeah. And I think that what you brought up about noticing that you wanted to be that firecracker again, that person that was kind of fearless, and you saw that there was a discrepancy between that and who you were.
Hmm.
And the fact that you realized that the whole point of life is growing, it's changing, it's
Yeah.
becoming that highest version of yourself, like we've said so many times.
Hmm.
And it's like we almost have to be willing to give up the things that aren't leading us to that. As
Yeah.
much courage as it takes, as difficult as it takes, it's really important for us to make that the priority, because if we don't prioritize us becoming the best versions of ourselves, we're not going to get to experience all the joy. We're not going to get to experience all the
Yeah.
love, because we will feel like part of ourselves is missing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like when you do start to make shifts in your life, you do have to let people go because so many people are used to that version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm saying Mackenzie wasn't reciprocal of that. I just realized I cannot be in a space with somebody else while I'm figuring this out. Like I have to follow my heart. I have to be on my own. I've never been comfortable with being alone for too long. Like anybody that knows me knows I've been a serial dater. I will admit it. I've been a serial dater, and then I got with Mackenzie, and then we got engaged. And, so I'm so excited to really discover who I am without someone else's opinion, because I feel
Yeah.
like for so many years, my entire life really, it's a huge part of who I am has been based off of pleasing another person because when you are a serial dater, you're seeking out love from other people versus love within yourself. And when I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know what it's like to wake up and just say, I want to do this today, instead of thinking, I want to do this, but what is this other person doing? Never have I ever had a period where I've just said, oh, this is what I want to do. And maybe the few weeks that I was single before I got with her, but even then I was like seeking
Yeah.
another, I don't know, what's the word? Another like vice to
Yeah.
help fill the void that I was feeling. And you know, no revenge because she needed something from me and I needed something from her. I saw a trend that also said, no revenge because they needed to experience unconditional love and you needed to experience self-love. And if anything,
Mm.
she taught me that. She taught me self-love. She's so good at choosing what she wants to do and deciding like what she needs for herself. And I was so good at pleasing. Not
Yeah.
even just for her, but just like I am a very giving and caring and nurturing person, but that needs to be given to myself before I can give
Mm-hmm.
it to anybody else, or else I'll give it all and I will become resentful. And that's the point that I got to.
Yeah. And I think that the spending time alone and like the really being content with being alone is like one of the core pillars of life,
Hmm.
especially as women. I think that we have to really like know who we are
Yeah.
before we can extend that to anyone else.
Yeah.
And I've obviously spent a lot of time alone just growing up with having sick brothers. And then Luke and I were long distance for a year, and I basically lived alone.
Hmm.
So I think in my solitude, it made me realize that I am so capable and I can do anything on my own.
Yeah.
And once
Yeah.
you have that backbone of like, I literally could do anything. Like, Luke helps me so much, but I don't need him to do the things that I want to do. If I'm going to do it, I'm going
Yeah.
to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think as you have that confidence, it just allows you to spread your wings and expand in so, so, so many ways.
Yeah, and I realized in the relationship before we even got together, and like I say, no knock to her, I was modeling, I was like really getting into my passions, and once I got with her, even if it was just like a little comment like, hey, I didn't like this, I would immediately pull away because I just didn't want to not please or I didn't want to upset or whatever. And so I just lost so many aspects of that. And even now that we're not together, like you said, I mean, I have to retrain my brain to do so many things. Like the other day, I ran over two curbs because I have not actually driven myself in 3 years. Like my car got stuck on two curbs in the Trader Joe's parking lot. What is going on? And so I like went home. I cried to my mom, and she even said to me, she's like, "You are such a princess," and I am. Like, by all means, princess treatment me. And Mackenzie was so good at that. She really was. She gave me the ultimate princess treatment, but at the same time, I have this earning like yearning is yearning.
Yearning. Yearning.
I have this yearning feeling of just like really wanting to be a boss, like really wanting to
Yeah.
own my own business, really wanting to impact people's lives and impact the world. And like it's just in me. But I know that
Mm-hmm.
like being this princess is not going to bring me there. And although I know she helped me and did everything because it was so out of love, I know that I need to just be on my own. I need to be in my own solitude so that I can be in the space of being confident in making my own decisions and being confident in working a room and being in spaces where even if I'm being criticized or judged or people are making comments or whatever, that I'm so confident in me and myself
Yeah.
and what I want that that doesn't affect me. And I cannot, like I keep saying, I can't do that in a space where I am with somebody else. I have to be in my own. I have to be in my own solitude in order to really find that and not freak out when I hit two curbs and get stuck at the Trader Joe's parking lot. That was like insane. I cannot believe it
Yeah,
even
but
happened.
sometimes you need to have those moments.
No, I needed it. I so needed it. I was like, universe, I hear you. Okay. Like, I get it. I get it. I need to get it together. But yeah, it's beautiful. And when I think about it like that and think about all that's to come, I'm so excited for what's next. And that's what keeps me going. And that's what keeps me in a space of knowing that everything happens for a reason and that we were both in this for a reason.
Hmm.
We both learned so much from each other, and I will carry the things that she has taught me for the rest of my life. She's like the smartest person I've ever known. Um, and is, like I said, just so good at doing so many things. So I cherish that, and I'm sure there are things that she would say that she cherishes from me too. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what is like a piece of advice that you would give to anyone that's looking to make a similar move in their life that is maybe afraid or doesn't know what the future holds?
I would say, I hate to sound cliche, but always, always follow that gut feeling. Like, always follow your heart. If you are feeling like something needs to change, it is for a reason because there's a version of us that is pulling us to make that move, that is pulling us to work on ourselves, to find peace and solitude, to really work to become the best version of us. And if you feel like you're in a situation, even if it's not negative or fully toxic all the time, but if you're in a situation that just doesn't feel like it is serving that part of you that feels like the highest version of you, you have to follow that. I mean, I was so fearful to make this move because I've only been in this space for the last 3.5 years, and I've only ever been with her for the last 3.5 years. But once I did it, I was like, oh, this actually ain't so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This isn't so bad. Like, I'm gonna be okay. She's gonna be okay. We're okay. And, life goes on. People break up. And if if this podcast doesn't help you, I highly recommend listening to Giggly Squad. Paige's overall her breakup podcast got me through the week. But no, I really, really hope that my message and the journey that I'm on really helps you all. I do plan on really sharing my experience on my TikTok and just what I'm doing and the things that I experience and the feelings that I feel just to help other women and other people in general that might be going through the same thing because a breakup is one thing, but breaking off an engagement, holy cow. Like different shifts, but yeah.
And I guess the podcast kind of helps with this, but how do you go about telling people?
So I really have just been ripping the band-aid off because we share so many of the same friends and we do a lot of the same things. So many of our friends, even after it happened, were inviting us to things together. And then we would like privately message, like they'd put us in a group, me, Mackenzie, and them, and that we'd like privately message and be like, so do you want to tell them? Like, and that's just for me, that's what works for me. I'm just like, hey, I just have to say something. We're not together anymore, but we're very amicable. Like I'm sure we will still be in spaces where we have to be amicable because, like I said, we share a lot of the same friends. They asked us, do we have to choose sides? Like, no, we love each other so much, and we know that it did get to a point where we need to go our separate ways, and we've both come to terms with that. So yeah, like I said, I just ripped the band-aid off. I'm just like, yeah, this happened and I put it on me. Like I don't want to make her look bad or make her feel bad or for anybody to think negative of her. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I just really needed to find peace in my own
Yeah.
and that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you for making the choice that you know is going to be beneficial for your own path in your future.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see all that you do with your boss girl energy. Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing your story, Naya.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for sharing your experience in Peru. If you guys want more of a deep dive into that, let us know. But this was just a huge, huge shift for me, myself. And so I felt the need to come on today and really, really share that with you all.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I know this episode is gonna impact and help so many people. Um, and yeah, thank you everyone for always tuning in. Again, sorry for the little break. It did get chaotic the past month, but we
Yeah.
will be back. We are back.
hmm
So yeah, we love you all and we thank you so much.
Yeah. And I just want to thank you, Janessa, for always holding the space to allow me to get this out. And thank you to all of you for listening. We do love you guys so, so much. We will see you again very soon. Love, Naya.
Love, Janessa.
Bye.
Bye.